Today's episode is about conflict resolution. So let's go check it out.
Guys, this is Dave and Patrick. Today with the XAR Podcast, speaking about our topic today, conflict resolution in relationships. Just want to review that a little bit. We touched up on one of the previous episodes, but I did receive some information and some emails. There were some people out there that were just a little bit confused and wanted some clarity on that. So we're just going to review some conflict resolution skills and just help people cope, often with the people you care about most, and how they're aware and how easily they can trigger you. And it's just these emotions erupt in us, and just not to let the emotion, the speed of the emotion that just wants to jump in there almost instantly, right? And almost immediately, taking over and just taking charge, and just focusing on your breathing and just to relax your body and reset and create that emotional regulation that you need. And as a result too, as well, is that touches up on effective listening skills with whoever you're dealing with at the present. And so, acknowledge the individual, ask the questions, what are the facts, not let the emotion get the best of you, and just take a step back and just focus on your breathing while you're listening. Just listen to them. Don't overthink it. Don't come up with your next thought. Just listen to the person to seek understanding. And I know I'm sure you've been in some situations like that where, we often get our emotions get the best of us. And I've had it from time to time, for sure. Very important topics where you end up over talking somebody, or you jump in a little bit quicker than you should, instead of stopping and actually focusing on your breathing, resetting, and just actually listening to understand the person. Because there's so many misunderstandings in our relationships. The simplest thing creates this big misunderstanding, and all of a sudden you got a big fight. So simple, right?
That's right. I have a huge dislike of misunderstandings. I ask a lot of questions when I'm in a relationship, or even with anybody. It's nice to have the right understanding to leave with it. I really don't like walking away from something and not knowing. Some people may find that it's a lot of questions to ask, but you know what? Communication is huge. If I'm on the same wavelength and you're on the same wavelength, then we're leaving with the same message. We're probably going to get along a lot longer.
Yeah, well said. I completely agree with you on that. That comes into our alignment and distinguishing there was some clarity needed here from some of my emails about how do you recognize a toxic relationship? How do you know if it's healthy, when to leave, when to stay? Hey, that's a great question. In all my years, and I've done my research and all this stuff, but it's just information, it's entertainment. Until I actually practiced it over and over again, did it actually hardwire into my brain, where it became easier to self-regulate emotionally and not let that emotion, the speed of emotion, dictate what's going on. Rather, let logic take over. And, just continuously, and this is a lifelong journey for all of us, effective listening, stepping back and actually listening to what they're saying. So we got mutual growth, from the understanding of what they're actually trying to say. And often, don't we all have people who assume what you're thinking, what you're feeling? But yet I ask myself this question in my head: when's the last time they asked me how I felt or what I thought? They're telling me how I think and I feel. I got a question for you. How do you know that if you haven't even asked me the question? Right? Yeah. Do you not agree with that?
I do, actually. We talked about that recently, and you brought up that somebody didn't notice, or you hadn't seen in a long time, and they wanted to just assume for a long time about who you were, and not, knowing you as long as I have. There's been a big change, and same with me. I know I had triggers, and we talked about some of the words that used to trigger me, and I look at it now and just how simply foolish it would have been just to get triggered by such a simple word, but it brings up a trauma in the past sometimes and becomes an issue.
And I'm glad you said that and brought that up, because that's exactly where I was going to lead to. Is I just want to clarify triggers for you. If some of you out there just find you're getting a little bit upset or a little emotional, hey, you're human. It's normal. Breathe. If you find that works and it's effective, great. You're already a step ahead of a lot of people. If you find you're getting triggered very, very easily, there may be a point where if, for example, in an intimate relationship, you might have to pull back or take some space from this individual. And if you're single, even better is don't rush into your next relationship. There's a reason why you're getting triggered so easily. There may be some type of void or damage or scar in the past, in a previous relationship. For whatever reason, a word, phrase might trigger you. And that varies from person to person. Only you would know that. stop, sit down, and we were talking about that R3 in the evenings. If you get time, you journal, revisit, reflect, write that feeling. Do you remember a specific scenario, not just general? What was it about that word, the phrase that somebody said to you that triggered you to evoke all this toxic emotion? And write that out. Be very specific about the scenario. There's an importance. This leads to this unfortunate delusional distorted view that we often have ourselves, and we take everything personally. And just to forgive yourself, what are the lessons you can learn from that? Okay, write that out for clarity. That is huge. And ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I apply myself in a better manner next time around? Once you do this and you write out clarity, what you're doing is you're blowing the steam out. Basically, you're going to relieve some pressure like a pressure cooker. If you do not do that, and I often hear this in people who don't work on themselves. Oh, my so and so yelled at me, or I got into a fight with my brother, my sister, my mother. Oh, forget it. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? You just rejected yourself.
Yeah.
Guess what's going to happen? You're going to repeat the cycle next time. Good for you. Is that really what you want? Or do you want to actually be loved? It starts within. You got to start loving yourself. That starts talking to yourself in an honest, respectful, kind way. Journaling helps, breathing techniques, whatever, visualize a better life, and then just write these techniques. Write out a new story, your new self-image of how you want your life to look. Act and become what you want to attract. That's the reality. You can't find love outside yourself. They're just either in alignment or they're not. They're either a great addition or they're not. But at the end of the day, if you don't love yourself, you don't respect yourself, you don't value your needs, I'm telling you right now from our experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, it just doesn't work. You can't force that onto somebody. You can't force that to happen. They can't fill the void. If you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to accept love from somebody else? They can't fill that void for you. This is the hard reality. So what do? I hate to say this, as a guy, when I was much younger, what do? We chase, we beg, some people might call it love bombing. There's different words for it, whatever you want to choose to use. It's at the end of the day, you still feel rejected. You got to just stop, slow yourself down. We're in a society where there's such a rush to always fill that gap. I'm not like that. I haven't been like that for years. And it's one of the best things I ever did for my life, where I just don't get worked up over sometimes the stupidest things, but we used to, right? So I
Absolutely.
don't know if you want to add something to that, Dave, or
Just when you talk about that, taking your time. I mean, yeah, I know I'm guilty. I know you were guilty of in the past, and and when you do actually take the time to, reflect on your relationship, what went wrong, what you were at fault for, what you could have changed, and what you learned from it. People are meant to come into your life for a reason, and we take lessons from the people that we're no longer with, or even the people we don't associate with as often. But the best thing you can do for yourself, like Patrick said, is love yourself, and the best way to keep that is boundaries. It's healthy to have boundaries, and it's going to protect you. It's going to protect your own self-image, yourself. It's also going to protect the person you're with, because they're not going to get past the point where they don't even get close to, being real deep with you. If you have boundaries and they start breaking them at the start, like, you'll know right away.
yeah, excellent. And after the triggers, I want to talk a little bit. What I had to start off with is just understanding whether it's a toxic relationship, when to know when to leave and not. And you know what? We all in a normal relationship, it's okay to argue. It's okay to have different opinions. This is healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. Once in a while, occasionally. If you find consistently though, you're arguing, and specifically, especially if it's leads both parties are at fault. We're not going to get into a blame game. There's no growth in that. Is if you find that there's a guilt, someone, whether you do it or they do it, guilt, shame through manipulation tactics, whatever you want to call it, if that's consistently going on, it is going to destroy your self-esteem and your self-confidence. You need to know when to walk away. And me specifically, I'm done. I start seeing you start attacking me as a human being, my self-worth, I'm gone. You clearly aren't in line with me. I've learned to love myself, and if you don't match that, you're gone. That's a non-negotiable. My worth, I don't negotiate.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's huge. I mean, I was just sitting here looking at things, and it's important. Discussions are important. You're going to have them. You were brought up different ways. You're going to have different understanding how you think things should be done. That's what communication's about. And if you guys have arguments, that's okay. as long as they're healthy. When you start getting, into the point where somebody's doing something out of spite, that's a big red flag. That's absolutely, that's a personal attack. Insults, name calling for me. Those are,
You find that?
those are ones I put up with before, and I didn't respect myself enough,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know my worth. And luckily I've had some partners in the past that really helped me understand my worth.
No, that's great. I asked myself, I got to keep things super simple for myself. Just I don't have the greatest memory. So I ask myself the simple question every single time I meet somebody. After I meet this person, do I feel bitter or better? Some people might call it worse or better. I'll tell you that in 20 minutes or less, I'll know how I feel. That I choose whether to accept the person in my life for the next time or I'm moving on to the next person. That's it. It's simple as that. Life is short. It's super short. And I won't get into my past if we've had a few accidents, whatever, like vehicle accidents, whatever have you. And it just makes you that much more grateful and want to make the best of every moment. So I don't waste my time with people anymore. You're either in line with me, my standards, or you're not. I value myself. And if you don't value me and you don't respect me, how can you love me? And I'd rather be authentic and rejected than be fake and loved by everybody and just do what I can to please everybody else. This is not me. Sorry.
No, actually,
Well, I'm not sorry, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, actually, when you're saying that, just what, I know Patrick. I've known him a long time, and when he says, you're in line with me, he's not coming off as an egotistical person. I mean, he is the same way with other people. He respects and makes sure that they have boundaries, because then they're in the same alignment where they respect themselves. And that's just, he knows what he wants, and we it takes a long time for us all to get there, and it was a long journey for me.
Oh yeah, this is a lifelong journey. This will never stop, and the whole process is just every day is a lesson. It's not a problem. It's just an opportunity to learn from you. Don't take it personally. It's their insecurities. However, to touch up on the toxic thing, it is that if they do it consistently, it does affect your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and you got to know when to walk away. Even if it's based on their insecurities, it doesn't justify that behavior.
No.
Value you. No one else will. Value you.
Yeah, arguments, discussions should not go into personal attacks against each other. When you start battling each other and you forget it's, you and them versus the problem, and it becomes you versus you, and that's the problem, that's when you have an issue.
Right? You got to be able to come together. And, if I have an argument with somebody, at the end of the argument, we were able to laugh? Did we come to some kind of peaceful agreement? Or is there an avoidant, aggressive approach, fighting or running away? This is unfortunately, if it happens once, I'll give you a mulligan. If it happens consistently, unfortunately, you're not in line with me. I'm moving on. I'm not better than you. I want to be better. I want to evolve is what I'm saying. I'm no better than anybody else, but I'm no less than you. So, I'm going to make that very clear in any relationship I've been involved in. So with that in mind, guys, I'll just do a little repeat just because it's so important, is that if you do find that you can't regulate yourself emotionally that easily, there's something a little bit deeper in you that might need some major addressing, and that's okay. You're human. You're not bad. Don't self-doubt yourself. You're a human being. You're not a problem. You're a human being. That's great. Just acknowledge it. Make yourself aware of it. Do some journaling. Write out that particular situation that you for some reason keeps reoccurring in your brain. When you get triggered, there's a reason why you got triggered. There's a certain event or a moment in the past. That's okay. Write it out when you get some time. Write it out.
Yeah, and you may not know what it is right away. You may not be able to just pull it up and figure out what it is. You know what? There's, for some people who don't, think they want to write journals or anything, there's guided journals out there. I actually work on those myself. I create those for myself as well. I create them for other people. They're now for sale.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. No, that's great. We'll offer some services down the road as well, and we'll go from there. I just wanted to thank my team again. Dave, thank you for your help, and thank you to the audience for giving us this platform, just taking the time to listen to us. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe and spread the word, and we can get this help out there to more people.